speaks in dreams. Well, if he's speaking to me in dreams, he's wasting his time because I don't remember any of my dreams. Does he come in a loud voice from heaven? Like thunder? Not to me, he doesn't. Maybe to you. But I think that God speaks to all of us probably in much the same way he spoke to these people in the scriptures. The difference is they knew how to listen. And it wasn't always that clear. They had to sort it out. But they had to learn how to listen. And it's an art. Husbands and wives can tell you about how one learns to listen or not. Listening is an art. Listening is very important. What is God telling me? Now, the scriptures here, speaking of Abram and Sarah, go back to the time that he was 75, living up there in what's now Iraq and Iran. He was well past retirement age. He was probably ready to kick back and enjoy life. And God says to him, I want you to move south. Now, how did God speak? We don't know. Probably like he speaks to you and me. He speaks to me generally in intuitions, little ideas, little whisperings kind of, not any words, just inclinations that I should do this or that. And I say, really? And I keep getting these things. And I say, oh, yeah. And maybe I check with some other people and say, could this be true? And finally it becomes clearer as we work through time and wrestle with this, what God wants me to do. And he does that to you and to all of us. The trick is, are we listening? That's the question. So God said to Abram, go south. And probably this took some time for him to wrestle with this and figure out what God really wanted him to do. But finally he packs up everything he can with his family and heads south into what we call present-day Palestine. And when God sent him south, he promised at age 75 that he would have an heir, which means a son, at 75. Well, the next story picks up when he was 100. Still no son. No heir to his possessions. No son by Sarah. And God says, now you're going to have a son. Well, Sarah just laughed. She cackled. She was in hysterics. But you know what? 9 months later, she had a son named Isaac. How did God speak? God didn't speak regularly, apparently. It took 25 more years for them to have this son. But God was speaking. And they were listening whenever God spoke and somehow followed what he wanted them to do. So Abraham and Sarah were a lot like us, sinful people, but were able to listen to what God was saying. Then we get to the gospel and we have Jesus and Mary. It doesn't say, and Joseph, it doesn't say much about them. It talks mainly about Simeon and Anna. And Simeon and Anna were sinful people like you and me, but they were able to listen to what God says. And God told them both that, God told Simeon particularly, that he would see the Messiah. And he did. He wound up in the temple at the right time, in the right place. And Anna was there too. They followed God's call. Now, we've gone through Abram and Sarah to Jesus. Where's the Holy Family now? Right here. We're the Holy Family. Here are the Holy Family. We're not perfect. We're sinful people, but we're holy. We're trying to listen to what God says, trying to follow as best we can, trying to figure it out. I'm sure when God appeared to Mary and says, I want you to be the mother of this special child, it says that he sent an angel. Well, he never sent an angel to me, and probably not to you. But God spoke to her in a special way, and she was able to listen. God is always speaking. But I don't think Then he made it that clear. I don't think he had words that she could not avoid every day of her life. I don't think he sat down in the evening and said, now tomorrow, here's what you do. You get up at this time, and here's what you have for breakfast, and the next thing that's going to happen is this and this and this, and laid out the whole plan for them. He doesn't do that to us either. He just says, let me give you some principles to live by. Let me tell you what I want for you. Because I've given you special gifts. And I've given you a special talent and call. And I want you to do this for me. I want you to make me present in this world in this way. So, I think that's kind of how he speaks to us. Subtly, quietly. Let's just take a few moments of silent meditation to think about, how does God speak to you? Does he speak to you in dreams? Does he speak to you in intuitions? Does he speak to you in people? Does he speak to you in a husband or a wife? Does he speak to you in a child or a parent? How is God speaking to you? Are you open to hear what God says? Are you open to follow his message?